Welcome everybody to Mark Bajerski live YouTube channel. We're here at the same time as Instagram live, where we have 16 people on at the same time. Fabulous, really. Two beautiful apps at once, even though we know they're trying to drown us and trying to shadow ban us. But we do our best on these channels, and we do our best to try and share the light and love as much as we can. Funnily enough, I had 3 messages this morning, so I have to stand up and take notice. And I do find it offensive sometimes when people, in their own way, they don't mean to do it, but they force me to have an opinion. They force me to do something or to acknowledge something. I think that is abusive. I think it's wrong. And I think you should leave people to their own path of healing, and whatever they decide to do in their life, they do. But, you know, I don't really have a big following anymore, maybe a few hundred because of all the shadow banning. But just so you know, okay, I am pro-life. I am pro-peace. I do not believe in this one singular way of looking at life as most people do. I have learned over the years to stand back and look at the bigger picture. I don't see war as one side or another. I see war as a global satanic entity who create these wars so that then we divide. And when we divide, they conquer. So don't pull me into your narrative. Don't pull me into your wanting what you want me to say, and don't pull me into a side. I have no sides to any conflict, any war. Anybody who takes a life, in my book, is wrong. Full stop. Okay, that's all I'm saying, nothing else. Don't pull me into sides. I love mankind. I love women and children, men. I love grandmas. I love everybody who just tries to get up in the morning and tries to work. And all I want is peace. And I don't want suppression. I don't want SS running whatever countries. I don't want any of those things. So I pray for love and peace and harmony. Of course I do, every day. I have a book with over 4,000 people's names in. And including in that book, I have all the countries I put down when they're going through suffering. All of them. They're equal to me because these countries are my world. They're your world. So don't pull me into the politics. Don't pull me into this and that. Just be gone with you. Be gone with you. And go and bother somebody else. Okay? I'm a healer. A healer does not take sides. He just loves and wants harmony and peace for everybody. That's it. So we're going to talk about something beautiful today, and it's the signs of the spirit world, which help us along our journey when we go through such pain wherever we are in the world. At this moment in time, I try and help as many people as I can who are going through pain and suffering in all corners of the world. In Africa, I've got friends in Africa who are suffering terrible right now because there is no peace where they are, but nobody talks about that. So it's happening everywhere. Okay, we have the luxury to be able to live in a place where we're not being bombed and killed. So, you know, who are we to say anything? We know nothing. If anybody should say anything, it's those who are in that particular place. They're the ones who I speak to and talk to, not somebody who's, you know, happily in the house eating their meal and then demanding me to talk about these things. You have no right. Get off your high horse, you know, thinking that you're doing something good. You're not doing nothing good at all. Pray yourself. That's all you need to do. But yeah, the signs are phenomenal. The signs are phenomenal. The signs are phenomenal when you step into that world. There's been often arguments said that the fact that when when you step into the spiritual world, you read books and you hear about feathers or a robin or certain things that trigger the spirit world. You know, I wasn't a reader at the beginning of my spiritual awakening awareness, but I started having things happen to me and my clients did that just blew me away, that had nothing to do with a feather or this or that, and things I wrote about them in my books, and I do till this day. I write about that they're not thunderbolt and lightning strikes, but they are when it happens to us. So when we say to somebody, sit with somebody, and we'll say to them, oh my God, guess what? And we'll tell them about this amazing moment. And they look at us and say, oh yeah, that's nice. And they don't really get it because it's not meant for them. It's not meant for them to understand. It's our moment. And it's our connection. And of course we want to share it with the world, but nobody's ever going to really feel it as much as we feel it. That's one thing. Second thing is, I remember sitting with a woman who was a scientist, and we sat at the top end of Mias Pueblo, and we just had a read, and I read for her, and she, being a scientist, a lot of them are coming via a friend. They never came on their own. They came via a friend, and a friend wanted to give them a healing session or a reading. And I remember reading for this lady. She was from, I think, Sweden. Yes, Sweden. And we sat and had a coffee right up at the top of Mias Pueblo, where the park is. And as we were drinking a coffee, I'd already said to her prior that you would get a sign today. Okay. And as she was drinking a coffee, a feather landed in her coffee. So I started laughing. I said, if that ain't a sign, I don't know what is. And she looked at me and she said, Mark, there are birds in trees and feathers are plucked. And I said, yes. And there's also leaves on trees which outweigh the feathers by 1,000 to 1. Yet no leaf landed in your cup of coffee. And I said, that, my dear angel, is a sign. And she just couldn't get it. She just couldn't get it. It was simply a bird in the tree that plucked its feather and was pruning itself, and this feather came down out of the whole of the tree and the whole of the tables, and miraculously, coincidentally, came and landed in that cup. And I said to her, statistically, if I was up in that tree and I dropped a feather to get in that cup, what would be the statistics? It didn't penetrate. She could not grasp. Even if I shared with her the science and the chances that that feather would land in there, 1,000,000 times me dropping that, how many from the top of the tree, what are the chances of it landing in that cup? She wouldn't accept either, even though she had a reading. And she said, I find it amazing how you knew this about that, but didn't open up to the fact that I only knew her first name, right? That's all I knew. So she was trying to figure out how I knew it as a science mind. So the moral of that story is that you cannot convince anybody of the spirit world or signs. You can't. I'm sorry, you just can't do it. If they are not ready and they're not willing, doesn't matter how many sessions you give them, it's just not their moment to feel or understand it. And that's fine. And it's a wonderful thing, because when you let that go, it doesn't matter who believes. It doesn't matter. I don't care who believes. I know my truth and I know what I felt, and I'm so blessed that I am on this path at 38 years old, seeing what I saw, lights switching on as I walked underneath them on the street, miracles happening day by day, amazing stories, doves coming into my reading room when a lady would ask for a sign, and just at that moment, a dove pulls itself through into my reading room. I mean, you can't make some of these stories up. However, you can't force somebody into believing what you believe. So the signs are fascinating to me. As you walk the path of your signs, people often say to me, I am willing to believe. I am open to this, but I don't see my signs. And often I used to say, are you looking? And they used to say yes. And then I would say, well, stop looking and just allow the signs to come. And I found that there was a pattern of people stopping themselves from seeing the signs. So the way I would try and explain to them is, if you're watching a kettle boil, all you ever see is the kettle boil. If you're looking for a sign, all you ever do is looking for a sign, and yet the signs can pass you by and can be on either side of the road, but you're just looking in the middle of the road. So, or you're looking at one side of the road and not the other side of the road. So I think my expression was, stay in the middle of the road, look on both sides, be open to anything, but don't focus too much, and don't be paranoid, and don't want or ask, and it will just appear. I remember when I went through a terrible situation, a really bad situation. I remember I sat meditating, and there was no trees there where I was. There was no trees. I was just sat meditating. It was an open space, and a feather just flew and just landed right in my hand as I was meditating. And that's a sign to say, look, Mark, we're here. We know what you're going through. We're going to do our best to help you, and everything's fine. Just keep going. And there was times when, yeah, I missed my my friends. I missed Brian. I missed Shirley. I missed Penelope, and I used to think about them. And then a feather would appear, or something would come my way. Butterflies are an amazing energy of, okay, there's something in this. Why is it that a butterfly just hangs around, stays around you for ages? Why is it that a ladybird just appears from nowhere? I believe that Mother Nature, I believe that you may call them insects. I don't really want to call them that. I want to call them, souls, spirits, and we are nudged each other's way. So it could be a feather, which is not a spirit, but it is something that can be easily nudged our way. It can be moved our way. And then there's souls, which are animals that come to us when we're feeling bad. And then there's human bodies that from nowhere will ring us up or come to us when we're in a bad space or we're feeling down. And all of these I see as signs. Okay. I did mention once that many years ago, this guy was telling me about a book he just read. And in this book, this gentleman believed that anybody that you passed by and looked into their eyes and they looked into your eyes, that you both had a connection in a past life. And that, like, some things just like make you feel amazing. And like the profound sentence that was given to me, that opened me up to the possibility of how special that is. It was mind-blowing. So if I look into your eyes that I meet you, that we probably know each other. And the fact that we don't actually acknowledge that and acknowledge each other and walk past each other and forget about each other. Imagine moving into the light and realizing what we missed. What wonderful connections we could have had with somebody that we knew from a past life. I find that fascinating. But going back to the signs to me are more profound when you start opening up. And when you open up, you become more sensitive to that which I believe is the world, in our world. So it's a world within a world. It's a place which is all around us, that is just like our world in the sense of energy, but a high energy of love. And it has the ability to be anywhere and do anything. It can be one, it can be billions, but it's still one. And all soul and all memory is one, but can be singular. So the way I see it is, imagine the ocean as you, as one, but if you pull yourself out as a single drop, you are separate to the ocean, but put yourself back into the ocean, you're one again. That's how I see the spirit world, and that's how I see you, as a singular drop of pure spirit soul that is experiencing what you're experiencing on this world. And then when you leave this body, you go back into that beautiful ocean of love, to be one, to raise the consciousness of that energy of spirit to the experience. And I find it fascinating. And I do believe that we are not all as one. I've said this before. I believe that there are different consciousness within this great vast universe. If you believe that we are not the only beings in this world, then you've got to think to yourself that maybe there's more than one consciousness. And maybe if there's more than one consciousness, maybe consciousness in different parts of this solar system, this galaxy, this cosmos, may be different from ours. And this thus is why I believe you can sit with somebody and they can completely drain you, and all they do in their life is drain people constantly by way of pain, suffering, shock, hurt, abuse. And then there's people that you can meet who just give out of love, just give, help, care, share, have feelings and want to make you feel good and give you love. And then there's some who take from you. They make you feel bad, and then they suck that energy out of you. So I believe there are different forms of consciousness within these spacesuits. We're not the only one who comes into these spacesuits. There are other consciousness, and that's why good things and bad things happen, because there are different consciousness that feed in different ways. We feed in a sense of giving love. So when we give love to somebody and make them feel strong, then we are feeding from that beautiful aura of strength. If I hurt you, right, and I feed from that hurt, then I am a different energy, I'm a different battery, I'm a different life force. So when we see this and understand this, then there are certain people who don't really care for the signs. That's not relevant to their life. That's like somebody telling me to get involved in politics. I don't want to get involved in politics, because that's anger, that's hate, that is abuse, that is a divide, that is selfishness. I don't want to get in that energy. I'll leave that to the other people to get involved with. And if you step into that energy, you'll soon realize how bad it is and how draining it is. But for some, they love that. They love that energy. They feed off that energy, right? So it's all about what you feed from. I feed from love, right? And I will give you my love. And if I'm not feeling well today, you will give me your love. And we become this radiator drain energy. But don't confuse it to these consciousness that come from a different place, that just entirely feed from fear, hate, abuse, and all the worst things in the world. So the signs are fascinating. I love the signs. When I first started working as a full-time healer, the signs came to me in different ways. One of the signs that I absolutely loved was going to circle night twice a week. And it was normally on Tuesday and sometimes Thursdays. So we would all sit around. There might be 6 of us or 10 of us, or it depended if I was going to the Danish circle. Sometimes there were 20. And we'd sit and sometimes we were in a circle, sometimes we were sat in different seats in a house. And the music would come on and we'd start. And I don't know if anybody's ever experienced this. You sit and you start to just relax and breathe. And then all of a sudden, right, somebody goes like this, taps you, or taps you twice. And you open your eyes and you realize nobody's there. That used to happen to me all the time. Now, I spoke to a guy who was a biologist and studied the body, and said that's because you're relaxing, and this often happens when you relax, your body twitches. And I said, yes, it does. You're absolutely right. Your body, your foot might move and all that. That's energy moving through your body. But I have never experienced thereafter for many years that tap on the shoulder, on the arm, right? Why doesn't it happen all the time? Why doesn't it happen when I'm having my breakfast? Why doesn't it happen when I'm just about to go to sleep? Why doesn't it happen? Why is it only happening in that circle night? It's never happened before. I've never had this experience before. Don't justify it by saying, oh, that's just your nervous system and that's your body relaxing. It's never happened before, and it only happens on a Tuesday or Thursday night, and I get touched here, and it's like, come on. And I remember saying to Inga, like, because I opened my eyes and she closed your eyes, and I like, at the end, I'd say, look, I thought you kept touching me. I'm like, I'm a grown man. I'm not stupid, and I'm not an idiot, and I don't believe in just anything. But somebody touched me there, and it happened 3 or 4 times. And I'm sorry I opened my eyes, but I'm just wondering. I just thought that you would like going like that. Hey, I just want to talk to you, right? And she laughed and she said, "This is the sign of spirit is next to you." So that to me is like so beautiful, so amazing. And then signs can grow from there. They can grow with colors. They can go with experiences that you've never experienced before. I remember sitting at many shamanic rituals, and certain rituals trigger certain signs, certain feelings, certain things that happen. And one of them was this vortex of energy. Never felt it before in my life. Why did it happen there? You can't, as a scientist, say that this is a normal. No, it's not normal. I literally felt a vortex through my hands and my third eye, and I was sweating like, it wasn't hot, but sweat was pouring down my back, and I got this vortex, and I just went with it. I didn't get frightened. I just went with it. And it was such a profound experience with the shaman banging his drum, coming closer, and this like, oh my God, energy. So there are many signs that we're given. There are many signs that the spirit world may touch us, or may open us up, or may come close to us to give us the signs. And don't ever limit yourself to signs, because signs can be tiny, and they can be mind, heart, and spirit blowing. So I don't know if you've ever experienced certain things that just happened at certain times, where you, for some reason, bumped into somebody for no apparent reason, and then it became so evident that they took something out of their bag and gave it to you, and it was the right moment. They said something that came out of their mouth that was the right thing to say, that you think, oh my God, this is a sign. Because we are all signs. This is the beautiful thing about signs. We're all signs. We are all signs to somebody. We are all vessels used by the spirit world. And we all have certain unique understandings of life. And that unique understanding that you have, that I don't have, the spirit world understands and knows. So they will use us for certain things that is perfect for meeting somebody else, that gives them the certain information that they need that I couldn't give them. Now, when you understand this, when you open up to that amazingness, divine timing, and nudge or whisper, then you realize you can't deny there's something happening. You can't deny that there's something bigger to eating, drinking, sleeping, and working. And this is what I've walked. This is the path I've walked, in the sense of I've never walked away from it, because I've been so pulled as a magnet towards understanding this and being the conduit, being the bridge, being that message to people who need that message. And there's been literally hundreds and hundreds of times that something's come out of my mouth and I didn't even know why it came out of my mouth, but the client is crying, saying, and I'm like, do you understand what I'm saying? And they'll go, because I don't know what I'm saying now. And they'll go, oh my God, I know exactly what you're saying. I know exactly why you're saying it. And I'm like, good. So I don't need to worry about what I'm saying. I just say it. And that's been the pure energy path that I've walked. And with healing, the phenomenal signs that are given, the way that we can create the sign, the way that we can create the energy, the way that we can allow the spirit world to come even closer and more profound feeling and sense that when you are healing somebody, there's nothing more powerful than the sign within that. Because when you create the energy of healing, you allow the spirit world to manifest itself in such a unique way that sometimes it's so overwhelming for the client that they can't explain how they felt their grandmother or their child or their beautiful four-legged friend pet that's in the room at the same time that passed away to the spirit world, that they've never felt anything, but now there's this sign in the healing session that they got and they received. So the signs can be in the moment of great pain and suffering, and it can happen. It can be in the moment of great healing. It can be in the moment of when you're not even thinking about anything. The signs can be when you are having healing sessions. The signs can be when you're reading a book. The signs can be when you meet somebody on the street. The signs can be when you accidentally are at a place where you didn't even know why you went there, but then everything makes sense. And one thing I have really noticed, if we are just open, if we just believe that there's a possibility, that there are signs, and we really, truly would love a feeling of a sign, don't get frustrated. Don't look. Don't focus too hard. Just say, if the time's right, when it's ready, I'm here. I believe, meaning that I am open to this. And show me if you want. But don't focus on the kettle boiling. Just live your life and just be aware of anything at any given moment. And I think that's it. I think that's how I'd like to finish off on the signs. And I hope this video serves you well. I hope you enjoyed this little chat of a healer for a few decades now, who's loved this journey, who's never left it, who's had hundreds of jobs, and then decided that, hey, this is the job that I want. And then you realize that this doesn't feel like a job, and you realize it's a way of life, and you never work a single day thereafter. And that's how it's been for me. It's been a joy, an absolute joy. All right, guys, that's it. Thanks for joining me on Saturday morning. I'm sorry about the rant at the beginning. No, I'm not sorry, but I am sorry that I even have to say it. Judging me by one thing and then punishing me because I haven't said something or done something is shallow and absolutely disgusting, in my opinion. Okay, disgusting. If you don't know who I am over these 12 years of being on here, sharing my truth every day and doing my best to help people, and you think that I don't care about people and that they're dying. I care about everybody, and nobody should die, and there should be peace all over the world. But if you know what I know, if you've sat with people who have been in the industry of the military industrial complex, if you've sat and give readings to politicians and all this, you realize that this is all by design. This isn't what you think it is. It never is. It's all by design. And the outcome of that design everybody focuses on and thinks that's what it is. No, it isn't. There are false flag events happening every day, every week, every month, every year, and they're created. And if you stick your foot on somebody's neck long enough, they will react. And you would too, so don't tell me you wouldn't. So it's not one thing, it's not the other. It's not him, it's not her. It's not that side, it's not that side. It's a global satanic ritual which continues every day, that causes suffering to everybody and wants people to hate each other and kill each other. And they would demand death every day. Every day they demand death and they cause it every day. I don't believe it's him or her. I believe it's an external darkness that does this deliberately. It's a deliberate thing that happens across the world, and it's done by a pamphlet that they've created to make these things happen all over the world. Just look at what's happened everywhere in these past 2 years. It's everywhere. It's global. It isn't them. It isn't them. It's all of us. We are beautiful souls just trying to live, children trying to grow up, people trying to help, people trying to live and just live an earthly life. Doesn't matter what side of a wall you're on. We are human beings living in this body temple. We are spirits, but we are manipulated by a dark force that is causing us to hate each other. So we pray every day. We pray every day for peace. Of course we do. Of course we condemn any violence. And I don't care what side of the wall you're on. I condemn all of it. It's wrong. It's the reason why there are, anyway, shut up, Mark. You know what I mean. You all, wishing you all a lovely, lovely day. Yes, it's a massive movie. And the thing is that we're in it and we are the sufferers of that movie. We just need to realize that there's a bigger picture going on. One day, hopefully, we will see that we are all being manipulated. All the world is being manipulated by this dark force. So, love you all. I hope you see your signs today. And from your family and spirit and from me, have a beautiful day, guys. Love you all. Take care. Bye for now.